Namaskar. I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to a live and interactive session. You are watching us on PME eVidya Channels 6 to 12 and also on our YouTube handle NCERT Official. As you all know, it's time for our online training program which we are conducting this week under the umbrella theme of leveraging AI for transforming school education. Now, before I tell you about the topic of today's session, let me give you a brief about something really important. Yes, it's time for Pariksha Pe Charcha. We all know exams are just around the corner for the students, and it's time that we ignite the exam warriors within us. So, we all know that Pariksha Pe Charcha is a wonderful initiative by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, and it is being held every year. This year, we are celebrating its 9th edition, and it is being organized for encouraging joyful learning and stress-free examinations. For further details, you can log on to the given link that is flashing on the screen. It is innovateindia1.mygov.in. And let's celebrate Exam Utsav as a life Utsav. When it comes to examination, when it comes to preparation, definitely we make use of so many resources out there. And artificial intelligence is one such resource that comes really handy. This week, we are talking about how AI has brought a revolution in the school education, especially in the teaching learning process, because NEP 2020 also focuses on equity and equality as well as inclusivity in education. So how AI has become a boon for us, and is it really challenging? Because day 5 topic is all about learning regarding the ethical, safe and responsible AI use in school education. You must be having a lot of questions regarding the session today, so please feel free to get in touch with us. Our phone number is 8800440559. Our email ID is training.helpdesk@cit.nic.in, and on our YouTube handle NCERT Official as well, you can send us your questions, suggestions and your feedback. It's a 5-day, 5-hour online training program which is brought to you by Central Institute of Educational Technology, that is CIET NCERT New Delhi. Today we are in day 5 of the training session, which means that you must get ready for the assessment that will open once the session gets over. For the details regarding the assessment, I'll be telling you everything by the end of the session today. And for the moment, it's time for me to introduce you all to my guest for the session. We are joined by Dr. Raghuveer. Sir is Pro Vice Chancellor from Chandigarh University, Mohali, Punjab. Sir, namaskar and very warm welcome to the session.
For CIET and NCERT for making this wonderful opportunity. So I'm privileged to deliver a session on this.
Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure is all ours. Now, before you delve deep into your presentation and you tell us about the safe and ethical use of AI, I request you to kindly brief our audiences regarding the main points that you will be covering in the session today.
So in today's session, I'm going to tell you about how AI has impacted education so far and how it has gotten into the hands of the students. Okay. And it's time to understand like AI and education are inseparable entities. And we need to focus more on how to make it more ethical, safe and responsible use by the school students and the higher education students, so that it is not falling into the wrong hands and leading to diversion from the actual learning that they are required to do in their school education.
Absolutely. Let's use technology as a slave and let's not let it master us or control us. Data is asset, and when it comes to the use of AI, there's a lot of data out there and we must protect our data. We must protect anybody falling prey to the internet hazards, I must say. So let's talk about how AI can be used wonderfully and in the interest of every stakeholder out there. Now, sir, I request you to kindly go ahead with your presentation uninterrupted. Whatever questions will be there, we'll take them up in the end, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Okay. Welcoming all the audience who are listening to this live and those who are going to see it at a later stage of time. Let me start with my presentation. So everybody talks about AI these days. I'm not going into the technology of AI, but I wanted to tell you the 3 major things that everyone should know, that AI simulates human intelligence. It is more like whatever humans were doing before. It is a simulation and the extension, and also it simulates the human intelligence to think beyond what machines can do. Also, it learns from data and patterns. AI cannot work without data. Many times we separately see AI and data, but AI works on data. Data is the fuel to AI. In order for the artificial intelligence to derive some conclusions, it needs to have huge amount of data with itself, relevant and then contextualized. in order to understand what kind of inferences that can be made out of this data. And moreover, AI is here to support the humans, not to replace them. If at all some of the humans are getting replaced, it means that they were doing some kind of monotonous work which can easily be done by machines. So all that we need to take into our account is that AI is not a threat to the human being. Rather, AI should be seen from the perspective of supporting the human being in order to get their day-to-day work done in a most effective manner. Why AI education matters? Having said about what AI is here for and how is it going to help the human beings, now it is time to understand why is AI education important. Nowadays we would have seen like literally whomsoever, whether it is an educated person or illiterate, those who are using mobile phones, they would have got some access to the AI tools in some form or the other. So AI has become an integral part of everyday student life, particularly when it comes to the student community. They are very much using AI in order to support them beyond the classroom where the teacher or parents could not help. Gone are those days where the educated parents can continue helping their students at home, helping their wards at home. But these days, since the education is scaling up and evolving, beyond a particular point, the parents or even the educated teachers cannot help beyond the college or school timings. That is where AI is going to play a vital role. And second thing is that AI always challenges the students and the young minds through the interactive apps that are being used by the students that will make them to think more. Actually, when a normal search is made through platforms like Google, it will be ending up with the results. Whereas when a similar kind of query is made with the tools like ChatGPT, it will be summarizing and giving you something that will make you to think more. So AI influences learning, which will allow the students to explore even more than what it has summarized and given. And it is the high time that school must start guiding the students on the responsible use of AI. So ultimately, why AI education matters is it has become an integral part. It influences learning. That means it is going to aid the students in learning better beyond their classrooms where the teacher cannot play a vital role. And it is the time for the schools to make the students understand and guide how to responsibly use the AI. AI in school education is of three major categories under which it can be used. One is the personalized learning platforms. Second one is the smart assessments and feedback. And third one is the assistive technologies for inclusion. I'll come to each one of them and tell you how these three are distinctive in nature. At the same time, they are interconnected as well. When you say personalized learning platforms, gone are those days where one size fits all is applicable to the Generation Z students, particularly this generation when they are very well versed with the social media and technology in their hands right from the early years. It has become easy for them to refer the same set of things which were taught inside their classrooms. So when a teacher is delivering inside a classroom, when they deliver the lesson commonly for all the students, all their understanding will not be the same. Each student will have a differential way of understanding the things, and moreover, due to the limitation of the tools which are available with the teachers inside the classrooms, teacher won't be able to produce the content in multiple forms. So by the end of the day, if the student is going back and wanted to refresh on the same concept, they have got n number of social media platforms which gives the same kind of content in a more effective, animated and interactive way. So AI enables students to learn in their own personalized way through these kind of learning platforms. This allows them to suit their learning content according to the needs that satisfy their requirements. So one of the primary use case of AI is personalization, which allows the AI to create content or deliver content in such a way it satisfies the requirement of all the 60 students of a particular class, which is otherwise very difficult for a single teacher to cater. Second important use case, I would say, with respect to AI in school education is smart assessments and feedback. Usually, in the recent times, we have started adopting formative assessments inside the classrooms, where the student will not be evaluated only once in a particular exam. Rather, they will be assessed at regular intervals in multiple forms through multiple tools, some in the form of quiz, some in the form of surprise test, some in the form of assignments, and then the descriptive test and other things. So in which case, we wanted the AI to be used as a tool to make sure that these assessments are done prior hand before the actual assessments are done by the teacher. This will help the students to prepare in advance before they come to the classrooms, and then wherever they are falling short, they will be going back to the same AI application to understand like what they are not able to get things properly. And it gives the students the proper feedback on where is their weakness with respect to the understanding, and also it can augment the content accordingly where they need to improve, and then give the assessments n number of times before they actually face an assessment. So having said about personalizing the learning and smart ways of doing the assessments either outside the classroom or inside the classroom, the third important use case is assistive technologies for inclusion. There are students with multiple disabilities, and all of these students cannot be catered at the same way. Some may have a learning disability, some may be called as slow learners. They may not be able to pick up immediately inside the same classroom. Some may require the content to be delivered to them in multiple different forms. We used to have a term called multiple intelligence, which categorizes each learner into an appropriate intelligence type. Accordingly, when they are given the content, they will be able to learn it more better. So assistive technologies are somebody who is like a buddy for the students beyond the classrooms, which helps in arriving at the exact type of contents which they can learn better with. So these assistive technologies will help students with disabilities also to cope up with their learning. So that way AI primarily bats for inclusion, which is a bigger challenge for the academic entities to achieve. So when it comes to ethical, safe and responsible use of AI, the three things that we need to keep in mind is that we need to prepare the young minds for an AI powered future. Many times we think like AI is going to cause some kind of damage to the young kids. There is a bigger question that at what age AI should be introduced. In my opinion, rather than AI as an education, AI as a practical use case should be introduced well in advance to the early stage learners, so that some form or the other they will be able to understand that there is some kind of intelligence that is helping them more like a teacher. So students, kids these days are using mobile phones and tabs in a restricted way in schools as well. So wherein these kind of AI apps can be used to suggest them some kind of learning material and the differential way of teaching the same concept, so that they will be prepared to understand that there is already some kind of intelligence which is in place. This will help them to prepare themselves beyond what intelligence is already available. Otherwise, it will end up as reinventing the wheel. If the students are not given AI well in time, they think like every intelligence should be coming from the human being, and they end up doing the monotonous jobs that the human beings were doing before the arrival of AI in the useful ways. And it also needs creating awareness and responsibility as well as the trust. Many a times the students who are left unattended in using AI feels that they will trust everything and anything that is given through these AI apps, which is also dangerous for the kids, because at times they don't even believe another human perception. They will always take whatever is given by AI. So we need to prepare the minds in such a way that they are aware of usage of AI, and they need to be understanding what needs to be trusted and what not needs to be trusted. At the same time, whenever they are using AI, they need to be given the responsibility of what is the outcome that is derived through these kind of AI applications. Awareness sessions should be given for the students as well as teachers and institution heads, because here it is not only the stakeholders, which is the students, those teachers who are going to play a vital role from teachers to facilitators. They need to know how they should be guiding the students in using AI effectively. And at the same time, if the institution is not having a policy or an approach to allow usage of AI at schools, then it will be more restrictive, thinking that AI is something not good for them and it should be used in isolation only. That creates a lot of problem for the young minds to not understand what to believe in and what not to believe in. So this requires the institutional heads to brainstorm and derive a policy which allows the fair usage of AI in schools under the supervision of the teachers. So what do you mean by responsible AI? Responsible AI is nothing but the one which is ethical, safe to use, which is transparent on the ways it has derived the outcomes or the query results or something like that. It should be inclusive in nature. That means that it should be usable by all the students who are from diversified backgrounds, and it should be designed to benefit the learners without causing harm. So when I say responsible AI cannot be responsible on its own. It needs to be made responsible through the intervention of the human being. So those people who create these kind of AI solutions, particularly for the school students, must keep in mind all these important aspects. And at the same time, beyond that also, while these applications or tools are being used by the students, it is the responsibility of the teachers to ensure that it is giving or it is taking care of all these aspects which are listed to you. So when I say responsible AI framework, we need to take into account four major things. One is reliability, another one is accountability, third one is fairness, and fourth one is transparency and explainability. I'll come to each one of them. When you say reliability, the answers that are provided by AI should be reliable, not only one time or the odd times. It should be reliable throughout. That means it should be comprehending the data properly which is fed to it, and it should be deriving results from that which are reliable to be trusted by the people who learns from that. Many a times, if you don't look into this seriously, AI is more like garbage in, garbage out. Whatever we feed in, accordingly it will be able to produce the outcomes. So if the content and the data that is being fed is not validated, what will happen? It will pull out the data from multiple sources which it does not know which one to trust, which one not to trust, and whatever is more attractive, more fancy to the end users, that only it will be able to present, because AI always worries about its feedback. So the more you get inspired by the AI results and gives it a feedback, it thinks like whatever it recommends is better for you, and that is where the reliability gets compromised. So many times we need to be very careful about what goes in. Accountability is more important, because whomsoever is developing these kind of things should be accountable for what is being delivered through that kind of tools and applications. There is an accountability for the content developers, there is an accountability for the teachers, mentors, and there is an accountability for the institute as a whole whenever it comes to the content which is being delivered to the students. At the same time, students are also accountable on what is being consumed, and whatever they learn out of it, what are all its social implications, they are accountable for it. Third one is fairness. AI systems are designed to perform consistently to minimize the bias. When I say bias, whatever the AI gives depends purely on what input that goes inside, as I said earlier. But the person who is giving that inputs, that person is aligned or misaligned or biased, then the same bias goes into the AI system as well. In which case, AI will start producing the kind of results which are from the person's perspective. But actually speaking, AI should be neutral in terms of the content it delivers to its end users. So what we need to take into account with respect to the fairness is, whomsoever is going to populate the content into the AI system, there should be a diversity, there should be a good number of people involved into it, there should be a gender balance in that, and there should be proper educational background of those people who curate and feed this content into. Otherwise, it will lead to some kind of bias on the person's own thoughts and willingness. As a result of it, it will be able to demotivate the learner or misalign the learner towards their learning. Last but not the least, but it is the transparency and explainability. Whenever AI is delivering something, it should not be seen as a black box, right? How it delivers, how it has created all those things should be made transparently available to the people who are using it. At least to the administrators, they need to know exactly how it crunches the data and how it is deriving insights, what kind of sources it is referring to. All these kind of things must be made known to the administrators of those apps which are being delivered to the students through schools. So an IT expert or an AI expert should be involved into utilizing these kind of AI apps to understand what is made transparent in order to ensure that whatever is fed in is properly being comprehended by AI, and then it is appropriately given back to the students. And whenever at times it is giving a result, there should be a way of explaining that result as well. For example, if it is giving a wrong result, there should be a process to explain why it has derived that kind of result, so that we can tweak the systems and models in such a way that it is not ending up with any kind of bias. So there are risks of unethical use of AI. One is this over dependent on the AI tools. Many a times when these kind of gadgets or AI comes into picture, there will be a excessive usage of it. People will get addicted easily to that, and they think that they should rely only on these kind of AI tools for all their requirements. But that is totally wrong. Still, we need to be taking the help of the teachers. So that is where the teachers play a vital role. Teachers should also not think like, when everything is made available through AI, why should we teach in the class? Rather, they need to think what should they teach inside the class. Thereby, they are transforming themselves from teachers to facilitators. I wish the teachers know AI much better, so that they will be in a position to prevent the students from over dependent on AI tools. And we should be careful about the bias and misinformation, as I said earlier. I'll come back to the kind of biases that the AI produces over the period of time. And there may be chances that it may lead to loss of critical thinking, because each and everything will be asked to the AI, and it is able to give you the results without getting any tiredness or anything, as a result of which students may think like, for the basic things also, they need not have to put in their minds to ask the AI system. My suggestion to overcome these things is to allow collaborative use of AI, because whatever AI results that it gives, if an individual student is comprehending, they may comprehend it in a way which may not be the way the other student is comprehending. So rather, when the teacher allows the students to group together and utilize the AI results and comprehend on it, at least one among the students in that group may tell that there is something wrong in the results that are being produced, or there can be a different perception altogether. That will make the other students to think that we should not be relying only on the machines, we should also take human perspectives into it. So when I say ethical AI's core principle, it is moving from bias to fairness. As you could see in this diagram, bias is about the gender bias that it talks about, but there are multiple other biases. But the AI system which is being prepared mostly by a particular gender will automatically have its gender bias. So we need to make sure that there is a kind of fairness among the gender involved into content creation, or into content involved into delivery of this content as well. So there should be a kind of fairness and non-discrimination, and more importantly, there should be a respect for human values as well. Most of the times when we fed in something and it is fed in such a way that human values and emotions are not attached to it, then the AI will never bother about those kind of human values or emotions when it is producing the results. One good example I would like to tell you is whenever we started using Google, and when we started searching Google for everything, even for a common ailment, majority of the times people would have got frustrated that for a small wound that they have got on their skin will be shown as possibility of a cancer disease. But that is primarily due to the lack of fairness, or lack of due to the bias that it is having due to lot of such things which are being posted to it. So we need to make sure that we don't frustrate the people who use this kind of systems. So that requires some kind of human values attached to the kind of content that we create, so that it will be learning over the period of time. And there should be an accountability in the use of AI. It means that how much time we use it, for what purposes we should use it, should be defined. It is more like use of calculators. At some point of time we would have said that for some exams calculators are allowed, for some other exams calculators are not allowed. Similarly, we need to have some kind of accountability in terms of using AI, when to use, where to use, how to use, for what to use. Human oversight is always required. That means that whenever the AI is being used by the students, there should be a human oversight always, to make sure that it is used in the most appropriate way. Particularly in schools, AI should support learning, not to control it. That means many a times when you fed everything to the AI, it will be automatically recommending based on the learning that the student does. But if there is no human intervention, sometimes the students may go off the track completely. So they may end up learning something else than what they are required to learn. So there should be always an human oversight, that too particularly from the teacher's perspective, because they are mentors and facilitators who can guide the students to effectively use. The most important risk with respect to AI is bias, which is not visible actually. AI learns primarily from the data that the humans feed in, but all depends on the kind of humans or the background of humans who feed that particular data. When there is a biased input, then it will have a biased output as well. And this would result in wrong recommendations or judgmental in nature, saying that when you are assessing a particular person, if they do not know answers for a few of the things, then it may straight away say that you are not fit for a particular thing. But that will demotivate that person who is learning. Most importantly, when you are using it for the student evaluation, we should be very careful that it should be more towards the motivation, encouraging the students to learn alternative ways by giving alternative contents in order to achieve something that they are required to achieve. So question the AI properly, AI outputs critically, so that teachers play a vital role in this to understand whether this outcome or the output that comes out of AI tools and applications, are they appropriate for their own students. There are different types of biases which I don't want to go into the detail, but I wanted to tell you how the biases can happen. Biases can happen through sampling, the kind of data that you feed in, which data should go into the AI. When you select the wrong data that goes into the AI or content from the wrong sources, that is called sampling bias. And the way the algorithm is made, AI is nothing but, it is more like a human being which defines a procedure and then crunch on the data and produce you some kind of outcomes. When that algorithm, the way to comprehend the data and make it simply available to the end users, when the algorithm itself is made by a person who thinks from his or her own perspective, then there will be an algorithmic bias. As a result of this, the outcome will be different and it will be aligned to that person's intentions. Third is confirmation bias. Many a times there will be a human intervention on the outcome that it produces, but that human being, if they have some issues in accepting or rejecting a particular outcome, then that will also lead to some kind of bias. Like that, we have measurement bias, we have generative bias in the case of generative AI, reporting bias. Whenever it crunches on the data and reports to you, then it may have a wrong insights or something, predictions that it makes, leading to a misunderstanding of our business model or something like that. And there is an automation bias, because the process entirely is being automated, right from the data that is being sourced from different sources, crunching it and then preparing some kind of outcomes. Everything is being automated. If this automation process, which was defined by a human being, has got some bias, then that will also lead to some kind of automation bias. Finally, the group bias. When there is a collective set of people who are involved in creating the content for a specific target set of users, then it may have some kind of bias naturally towards the target audience or the people, the group of people who are involved into creating this. So when it comes to safe AI use for students, it is more important to protect the students from the inappropriate content. As usual, we do with respect to the web content. Whatever ways we prevent certain websites, certain sources of content, we need to make sure that there is also certain restrictions on the use of AI. Because sometimes we have heard that cases where the gaming applications would have directed or commanded the children to take up some kind of action at their home, which may be causing harm to them. So we need to make sure that those kind of inappropriate content or inappropriate platforms which does not exactly disclose how it operates should be taken care of. And over dependence on AI should be taken care very seriously by the teachers. They need to tell when to use, where to use, how to use, for what to use. And whenever there is a misinformation, we need to make sure that the AI models or the sourcing of the data that it does is tweaked accordingly, so that it gives proper information to the students. And also, most importantly, we need to use age appropriate AI tools. Some tools which are used for the lower standards must be decided based on the timings and the extent to which it needs to be used, and the context for which this particular tools are being used. So one rule, thumb rule I would say, is safety before convenience, because usage of AI is more convenient as it quickly gets you things done, but we need to keep safety over the convenience. So at no point of time we succumb to convenience. We need to ensure that in every stage the safety is enrolled. AI safety in schools, particularly in terms of usage at the school level, we need to, again, AI appropriate tools, which I have said something. Human supervision is something which is more important. So at any point of time when the AI tools are to be used, teachers must be defined a set of standard operating procedure on what and where they need to do with respect to supporting the students to use the tools. It's not like once for all the tools are made and left to the students. We need to allow the teachers to intervene at regular intervals so that the teachers understand whether it is appropriately giving the content or the learner is appropriately learning through those tools. One thing with respect to AI is that it learns when the user uses it. But the more the user uses it deviating from the purpose for which it is created, then it learns in a different way altogether. And for that particular learner, it will be starting to give something which is not intended. So teachers must ensure that the students are guided most appropriately to make sure that they are using it in a most appropriate way. So when it comes to data and privacy and the student information which are used with AI, because AI creates, as I said in the initial slides, the purpose of AI is to create personalized learning content. When I say personalized, as a doctor understands about the patients and gives the medicines accordingly, AI should understand about the learner. In which case, AI should know the gender of the learner, should know the age of the learner, the kind of the standard that they are studying, the subjects that they are studying, all these kind of things, their learning background, right? And their language preferences, so many other things that it takes from the students. The most important thing is when every data is fed into the AI machine, AI will have its entire repository of all the learners, in which case AI is prone to cyber attacks, right? The data that the AI keeps is prone to cyber attacks. So we need to make sure that the data repository is cyber secure so that there is no manipulation of the data which is available. Second thing is, most importantly, AI collects all these things to understand the learning patterns and the behavior of the learner. So we need to make sure if they are adults or if they are toddlers, we need to take the permission of their parents before we feed in all the data into the system, so that it will be able to generate some kind of preferential content for the appropriate learners. Because if you don't give this content to the AI, then it will not be able to give you the personalized learning material or personalized experience. That would end in more like a digital form of a book which is available, which cannot give you any kind of personalization. So we need to make sure that the consent is taken from the students, and the data where the data about the students is getting stored is protected properly, as it is a sensitive data and it should be made cyber secure. When it comes to data privacy and protection, there should be first student data confidentiality. That means whatever data that is collected for the learning purposes, for the recommendation purposes, must be kept confidential, and it should be complying with the IT and data laws, so that it should not be shared unintentionally with the outer world, and it should be purely based on consent based. So wherever the AI has to use some of the specific data with respect to the learner, apart from taking the consent at the beginning, when there is something more that it wants to access before it recommends something, it should be taking the consent from the user by either popping up a message with a proper description of why it uses that particular data. That should be taken care by the parents or the teachers in the case if they are not adults. Transparency of how AI works is something that is very much important, because AI can make mistakes. AI does not think like human beings. So in which case we need to make sure that there is a proper transparency on what are all the limitations of AI. So when the AI tool is given to the students, it will be more fascinating and attracting for them. But you should also tell them very clearly, these are the limitations that it has, so that they understand that it is not a human being to which they are reaching out to. And also teachers should explain why AI gave a particular output. That is what I said, like human oversight, particularly when the results are being produced by AI. And AI as a black box is completely risky. So the IT person should completely know what is its operating principles, how is it sourcing data, how is it comprehending and producing the results. So when it is shown as a black box and it is given to the school or the students where nobody knows what is going inside, then it is quite dangerous, because we do not know where it sources the data from. Similarly, whatever data it collects, how is it going to use, nothing will be known. So there needs to be a proper IT personnel who knows the background of AI and then understand how transparent that AI tools are. So the most important aspects with respect to the explainability, governance and transparency are listed here. As I told earlier, that how the internal mechanics and algorithm of AI is explainable, that IT person should be knowing, and what are all the appropriate adequate processes and documentation which are concerned with respect to the use of AI tools in the college, in the school or college premises or beyond the classroom must be properly documented, and the impact must be properly transparently shared with all the stakeholders. Sometimes after having used AI, it would have enhanced the outcome of the learners. So that must be properly produced so that we can understand whether it has caused a positive impact or a negative impact to the learners. When it comes to the academic integrity and AI, majority of the teachers will be worried about AI generated homework or plagiarism or loss of originality. But what we suggest normally is that the teachers must allow the use of AI to a greater extent inside their classrooms wherever their intervention is possible, so that they need to make it very clear to the students what is possible through AI, what is possible only by human being. AI should be used as a tool for decision making, but we should not let the AI itself to take the decisions. So that we need to teach the students very clearly. But if we restrict the AI usage, considering all these risks, at some point of time, it will go into the hands of the students beyond the school timings, wherein it will cause even more damage than we would have tried it inside the classrooms. So responsible usage of AI is AI for ideas, not for answers. It is to just get a perception on what is the summary of the world of knowledge, and AI as a learning assistant, not as a replacement of teacher. This is what we need to teach the students clearly. When it comes to the role of teachers in responsible AI, we need to make sure that the teachers are sensitized on the ethical use of AI and design AI-aware assessments. It is not only the teachers' own assessments. Teachers need to put in AI's help should be taken by the teachers, and then encourage the students to do critical thinking beyond usage of AI, and then monitor the misuse at regular intervals, so that teachers play as role models, not just as role models, as an AI role model as well. When it comes to responsible use of AI by students should use AI as a learning assistant, and they need to always fact check the AI outputs, and as much as possible they need to avoid plagiarizing the content which is produced by AI and claiming it to be theirs. So this must be taught to the students, because whomsoever is producing a better output should not be given the marks. Whomsoever is able to reason the output that is produced by AI should be recognized, by which every student will start reintrospecting what is produced by AI, how to reason it more effectively like a human being. So when it comes to the role of schools and institutions, there needs to be a clearly defined AI policy and approve safe and compliant AI tools. Whatever AI tools which has been completely analyzed should be only used, and we need to prepare the teachers by training them effectively, and also engage the parents, because beyond the school timings on which when they are using these tools, parents' help is very much needed, and institutional responsibility also matters at a larger institution level. So teaching AI ethics to students includes AI ethics in curriculum, use of real life examples on how unethical it can lead to and what kind of complications it can lead to, discuss the consequences of misuse, promote more of value-based decision making, and make ethics and moral as a skill in the curriculum in the age of AI. So when it comes to responsible AI skills for students, at the age of AI, these are the skills that needs to be taken care of properly by the students. It includes critical thinking, digital literacy, fact checking, responsible content creation. When as students, when they are creating content, they need to be keeping in mind that they are creating content for their future generations or fellow mates. They need to be taking extra care whenever they are putting any content to these tools through their feedback also. So future ready students are nothing but they are the ones who are the responsible users of AI systems. So when it comes to building a balanced AI culture, it is a combination of human intelligence and artificial intelligence together. We need to encourage the students to focus more on creativity rather than automating the things and allowing AI to decide everything. We need to teach them empathy over the efficiency. That is what I said, like how to reason things, how to be making it more meaningful for the human being should be there always, and learning over the shortcuts. Most of the students prefer to use AI as a shortcut, but we need to teach them to use it as a tool to learn than to produce some kind of assignments or something. AI should empower, not to dominate. So the key takeaways of the overall session is that AI is a powerful tool, but we need to use it responsibly. Ethical, safety, and transparency are most important. We need to take care of that at the appropriate levels. Schools must shape future citizens who can better use AI and produce content for the future. And whenever you are responsibly using AI today, there is a trusted tomorrow which is getting created. So my closing message to the teachers is teach students not just how to use AI, but how to use it more ethically and meaningfully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful presentation where you actually talked about in length and very effectively regarding AI, its ethical use and its safe use in transforming school education. So we have got a few questions that I would like to ask you. You mentioned that AI is embedded now in classrooms. NEP 2020 focuses on acquiring 21st century skills, which are critical thinking, analytical thinking, problem solving skills. When it comes to AI, you give a prompt, you get a readily available answer. So I want to ask you, how do you think that these skills can be nurtured and fostered in students rather than replacing human judgment and effort in context of using AI?
As I was mentioning during my presentation, one thing that we need to do is that when you avoid AI completely and try to focus only on human critical thinking, sometimes what will happen, it will end up not understanding what the world of knowledge is having. So we need to use AI inside the classroom. Whatever questions that the teacher asks, AI will immediately give the answer. Rather than making the students to critically think on the answer that they have to derive, they need to critically think on the answers produced by AI. If that is happening inside the classroom, it will be more effective for the learners to come out with their own critical approach of evaluating something. Actually, there is a Bloom's taxonomy where the maximum level, highest level of Bloom's taxonomy is to evaluate something. When you have to evaluate something, you need to know what has been produced. So that can happen inside the classroom. That will take you to highermost level of critical thinking.
When it comes to any data, that we are using on the internet, it has been fed by human beings only. So there are biases. Sometimes information is not correct, not completely authenticated or verified. We see that there are negative consequences when it comes to using information that hasn't been verified from the trusted sources. Now we are using this data that has been fed into computers by human beings only. How do you think that we can play safe when it comes to identifying, questioning and mitigating bias in AI-driven educational tools?
See, the most challenging thing with respect to the current AI systems is the data sources from which the data is being utilized to recommend anything. But over the period of time, when the large language models and other things have evolved over the period of time, so we are feeding in the most appropriate context-specific data which are vetted by the subject matter experts, and this reasoning of that particular data from which they need to derive answers needs to be checked by the subject matter experts then and there at regular intervals before this goes as a tool to the consumers, end users. Right. So since the end users are the students who do not know exactly what it produces is up to the mark or not, so we need to have multi-staged approach rather than thinking it only from the perspective of sourcing the data alone. because sometimes the biases may be due to the algorithms that crunches on the data. So it's not only the data, it is the algorithm that crunches on it, and the people who created it, on what context it was created, and what is the context that on which the AI tools are being used. The context on which it was created and the context on which it is used may be totally different, as a result of which we will be getting a lot of biased outcomes. So we need to have a multi-staged approach in terms of verifying the data and the outcomes that are generated at regular intervals.
Right. So we are talking about many AI-driven tools these days. You know, you want to prepare a presentation, you want to create images, create animation, you feed the data and you get the result. Now, every tool or in every application, you need to sign in. Of course, you need to register where you put in your personal details. How do you think that we can use AI safely and a balance can be created, in terms of providing personalized learning to the students and at the same time preserving and protecting their data and of course safeguarding them from any security issues and threats later on?
See, most importantly, we need to understand, like, when do we need to personalize? There is something which is very common that is given to everybody, but when it comes to consuming that, sometimes I may have challenges in terms of understanding the content or the material that is given to me. That is where the personalization plays a vital role. Second important thing is the assessments. I would say, like, one size fits all assessment is what we are right now following, but what if I am a person who is an advanced learner, I wanted to continue learning further and continue to show others that I can solve better questions than others. So in which case it can allow you to go to a greater depth into the subject and to differentially show you from others. At the same time, when you are a slow learner, you need not have to go at the same pace as that of a regular or the advanced learner, wherein you need to learn properly the foundations and you need to be questioned so many things in order to make sure that you are clear with a particular concept before you go to the higher levels of the concepts. So we need to strike a balance between them. That is where we need to utilize the expertise of the teachers to tell them, like, till what part they need to use it inside the classrooms and how they have to use it outside the classrooms, how they can use it collaboratively. So when they are using it alone, sometimes they may get lost. So we need to allow the students to use it collaboratively as a team assignment so that they will get to know from each other what way they are responding, what way the AI is responding to their queries as well.
So you have also partially answered the question that I wanted to ask you next, that where should schools draw a line, in terms of using the AI-enabled devices or, I would say, depending so much on AI, because you actually take the shortcut route. You do not do your research properly. You do not make any effort to authenticate the data. But again, as NEP 2020 focuses on blended learning, where we are of course talking about online and offline mode, both we are talking about reaching the last mile learner. How do you think that there can be a system, concrete system which can be built and teachers and institutions can participate in that really nicely as far as responsible use of AI is concerned at the school level?
See, when it comes to enhancing the education literacy and the gross enrollment ratio, we wanted to diversify the learning from regular learning to online learning as well. So now it's time to understand that some of these online learnings, we call it massively open online courses, are having a lot of dropouts, primarily because of the fact that they lack the proper support system. When the learner gets stuck in between, there is no one to help them out. So that is why majority of the students who are into the massively open courses are quitting it. So we need to make sure that the AI becomes an integral part of it on that particular content so that it naturally responds to the learners more like a tweeter at regular intervals. But when it comes to the responsible use of AI, again I'm telling you, whenever we create such integrated tools into those platforms, there should be a supervision at regular intervals on the kind of outcomes that it produces and the responses that are received from the learner on the effectiveness of the outcomes being produced. If that is done cautiously, then this can lead to the remotest student who is studying from the nook and corners of the country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raghuveer, for answering these questions so patiently and for delving deep into the topic and presenting us that how we can use AI in such a safe and secure method. Thank you so much for your time and contribution.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good day.
So viewers, it's now time for me to wrap up this session, and let me tell you, it was the conclusion of day 5 session and eventually the training program. So now let me tell you about the assessment part. Please look at your screen. This is how you need to go for it. Here is our CIET website, ciet.ncert.gov.in. You go to the activities section, click on the workshop and training option, and you scroll down. You will find this current activity, leveraging AI for transforming school education. When you click on the same, you get this entire write-up why we are conducting this training program, what all topics we have covered so far during the week, what are the objectives of the training program, and who all can participate. These are the session-wise uploaded link of the program. In case you have missed out on the live sessions, you can watch these sessions again. And now comes the most important part, that is of participation and attempting the assessment. So step 1 is to register, which I'm sure you must have done by now. Step 2, I'm sure you're watching all the programs carefully. In case you have missed out the live sessions, go for the uploaded ones. And third step is to take the online course. Well, assessment will open in a short while and it will stay open till 15th of March 2026. If you score more than 70%, you'll be granted a certificate that you can download from DIKSHA portal. And lastly, you can submit your feedback regarding the entire training program. In case you want us to incorporate certain elements, please let us know by scanning the QR code or clicking on the link or anything that you feel like. And on a daily basis, you can always write to us on training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. Well, with this, it's a wrap. This is me, Harpreet Kaur, signing off at the moment and very quickly telling you about the upcoming program. So here is the program schedule. In a short while from now, you can watch our session Sahyog, followed by our program on school leadership development by NCSL NIPA. We request you to kindly participate because it's going to be one important opportunity for you to get that mental clarity. With this, it's a wrap. This is me signing off. Take care. Namaskar.